And this is a step, maybe a modest step in this direction. We have to stay the course, and it is your duty, because you referred to Palestinian journalists that were assassinated by Israel in Gaza yesterday, which we condemn that in the strongest terms, and we hope that the international legal system would go after those who have committed these crimes so that they face the punishment that they deserve. But we need to intensify all of our efforts. We urge you to keep pressuring everyone. You need to send large delegations of journalists to go to the Gaza Strip, to see with your own eyes the reality of our people and the crimes committed by Israel, and to report back on it. We ask the Security Council to go and visit and to see with their own eyes the reality there. They are the independent parties. We do not trust the reporting of the Israeli occupying authorities about the reality in the Gaza Strip and the lie that there is no starvation. Everyone saying is starvation. We lost more than 200 people. About half of them are children because of starvation, and more might lose their lives because of lack of food, medicine, and water. We have to intensify the pressure until the Israeli occupying authorities to stop these criminal policies and actions and to reverse this. Abdul Hamid.
Thank you, Ambassador. I have a question on the journalist issue. Maybe Ambassador Hassim and Ambassador Tariq can answer that. Why not put pressure on to call for a special meeting of the Security Council on the protection of journalists? And why not also pressure to create the post of a special envoy on the protection of journalists? Thank you.
He addressed these two.
Thank you, Brother Siam. I would put it more broadly. I think as Ambassador Riyad Mansour was explaining, Israel's continued and persistent, blatant violations of international law and its total disregard for UN Security Council and General Assembly resolutions on the question of Palestine, and the impunity that it has enjoyed so far, are being increasingly questioned by the international community. And I think you have seen the international conference on the two-state solution and the question of Palestine. The will of the international community was clearly expressed. And the thing, as Ambassador Riyad Mansour was saying, now it has to be the whole of system approach and response to this. The General Assembly has pronounced its position. It's now the big responsibility of the Security Council to also undertake and shoulder its responsibility. So you have heard the meeting that took place on Sunday. It was almost unanimous, the call that the Security Council must act. And I think for us, for Pakistan as a member of the Security Council, we cannot accept that we are years later going to be blamed that the Security Council did not act. So we are determined. There are provisions in the Charter that enable the Security Council to take this action, that enable the Security Council to demand that Israel is stopped from taking those steps that it has announced, and we will be working together with other members of the Security Council to transform that collective expression that you heard in the Security Council on Sunday in terms of something more concrete.
Tariq, if you want to say something about the journalists.
Thank you. Well, I couldn't agree more with Ambassador Asim and, of course, Dr. Riyad and my colleague from Turkey about what is happening now. I think international law, the protections provided by international law for journalists is there. Having an extra meeting for it does not really necessarily add to this. Resolutions of the Security Council exist, protecting journalists, humanitarian workers, hospitals, infrastructure for humanitarian work. Resolution 2417 on using starvation and hunger as an act of aggression is there. Everything exists. It's about implementing it. It's about holding Israel to account. It's about the impunity that has persisted for 80 years now. There comes a time when this needs to be stopped, and the time is now. We have reached a point where the world's conscience has awoken. It is also your duty. I know many of you have been raising this issue in the press and in your organizations, but it's also the duty of you. Your colleagues are being murdered in cold blood in front of your eyes, in front of the whole world. It is you that need to keep this issue in the media, in the consciousness of the world. So everybody has a responsibility here, including member states, including the Security Council, of course, but also the media, international organizations, NGOs. Everybody has a responsibility, and we need to live up to that responsibility.
Yes.
Ambassador Mansour, Javier Otaku from FA Spanish News Service. You have mentioned practical steps. You have given some examples of Western countries, Muslim countries. What about Arab countries? What about those who still maintain relations with Israel? Do you have any expectations from these Arab brother countries?
You see that we do have expectations from everyone. We do not exclude anyone. We respect the sovereign right of each state to act according to their calculations, but I am confident that the Arab and Muslim countries will step up to the plate. There are huge things before us, including, the support to the return of the national authority to assume its responsibility in Gaza. We reject the Israeli occupation. We demand its withdrawal, and we have an alternative solution, which is the outcome document and annex of the international conference, which was led by Saudi Arabia and France. And from the Arab countries and the Muslim countries, Saudi Arabia speaks on behalf of everyone. And as we see things unfolding, don't be surprised to see more steps to take place, including when the international conference for the reconstruction of Gaza, which requires tens of billions of dollars, to see more of concrete things to be brought to the table from many countries, including the Arab countries that they have financial capabilities. If you want to ask in Arabic a question.
Can I answer in English?
In English,
so everybody
okay.
can answer. So as after these meetings you mentioned, and as Islamic and Arab groups, what's your next step within the UN to put more pressure on the specifically the permanent members in the Security Council to act urgently?
We are continuing with our consultations with all members of the Security Council, including the President, of course. And we are observing, and that's not only our observation, but the observation of our friends in the Security Council, that there is emerging cohesion and unity and outrage of what is really happening, and they are exerting tremendous amount of pressure in order to stop the killing, stop the military operations, to have a ceasefire, permanent ceasefire, to force allowing humanitarian assistance to take place. We are closely observing the groupings in Europe in which they are making not only statements, but they're taking steps. For example, Norway, one of its biggest funds that invests billions of dollars, maybe tens of billions of dollars in the Israeli economy, they are withdrawing, their assets there. That is a significant step. Countries like the UK, Italy, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, deciding, threatening Israel. If you do not stop this aggression, if you do not reverse your position on the plan, things will take place. Australia announced yesterday that it is going to recognize the state of Palestine. I refer to Germany. I am referring to the discussion inside the 27 European countries composing the European Union, on trade, on many relationships with Israel, and they are seriously considering taking steps. Of course, I know that the Arab countries and the OIC, in the declaration that they issued, they made a lot of statements, and they can take additional steps. I am sure that they are considering these steps, but everybody is calculating very cautiously because they do not want to strengthen the relationship between one country that is so powerful, that is really giving the protection to Israel. I guess everyone is trying to sort of find ways to separate the relationship between these two parties, because that one big country is capable to exert pressure on them. That is the experience of Qatar and Egypt as mediators with this other country in order to find ways to have ceasefire. So everybody is, we are not interested, as I think my colleague said, to have more resolutions in which we have many, including resolution 2735. We want its implementation. But we need to find ways to convince one party to come closer to the global consensus that enough is enough. The solution is not wars. We have another option. We have an alternative option. And the alternative option was decided by the international community in the declaration and the annex of the International Conference on the Two-State Solution, which will be resumed on the 22nd of September in New York. So therefore, while we see what is really happening, and we are playing a big role, all of us, in maintaining it, in keeping it united, not fragmenting it, strengthening it, so that to try to find ways to have a crack between the Israeli belligerent, vicious, criminal government and one state that is giving it protection, quasi-protection, because if we succeed in that issue, I think that would accelerate many practical steps to be announced by many countries, and then Israel cannot withstand such a pressure from all of them. We are acting responsibly because if we do not act in that manner, it will cost our people tens of thousands killed, injured, and expelled. Now, somebody might say tens of thousands of people, of our people, have been killed. That is true, but now there is nothing that we can do about those who were killed, but we can do a lot about saving the lives of those who are still alive, and it is our responsibility to do everything possible in order to save their lives. I think we have enough, but we will keep you informed. Okay, I cannot say no to you. Tfaddali.
One question. During the high-level conference on the two-state solution, France and Saudi Arabia asked